Have you ever seen a man in desperate need of heart surgery go to a McDonald's drive-thru to have the procedure done by the fry cook? Have you ever seen a loving mother seek toddler parenting advice from a homeless drug addict? I know, it seems ridiculous, right? Yet, in today's dystopian world, there is a pandemic of uneducated, self-proclaimed experts who claim that unarmed social workers are better suited to disarm a gang of career violent felons as they beat someone to death, rather than well-trained, well-armed law enforcement officers. These are also the same uneducated experts who martyr career felons and domestic abusers to justify the ongoing street gang-styled communist jihad that's plaguing our country. I don't want you to take my word for this. Look at the criminals who've been martyred in the last few years. They're either convicted felons or criminals who've lived their lives by the code of thug and thought culture. 40 years ago, these were the same people who felt that the best way to help and support a non-custodial father pay a child support debt set way too high was to take away his driver's license, jail him, and destroy his life by criminalizing his poverty. Not only did these things not help him pay his child support, but they often made this man homeless while at the same time destroying his relationship with his children as their mother disparages him to their offspring, with little to no accountability. Then, as a natural consequence, the child grows up hating the father because of a combination of the mother's lies and institutional misandry in the family law courts. Yet in the same breath, these people are also the ones who claim to want to help the poor. But our cities are littered with homeless, drug-addicted, mentally unstable people, mostly men. And these social justice warriors would rather help foreigners in our country here illegally rather than our lawfully present homeless. They speak about how you should think of the children and help end their suffering, but Child Protective Service agencies around the country, after getting credible reports of abuse, leave children in those homes to continue to be abused, often for years, without ever lifting a finger. And after reviewing many of these cases, it is very clear that many Child Protective Service workers, social workers, and investigators go out of their way to justify not doing their job rather than following their mandate to protect children. The same is now happening in migrant facilities run by the federal government, where children are being victimized daily while dishonest and cognitively impaired socialists in our federal government moralize to us from behind chain-link fences and hundreds of soldiers who guard the halls of power. To most people, these indefensible hypocrisies are self-evident. Most Americans see right through them. But what always surprises me is how many Americans buy into the fraudulent moral sermons delivered by professional liars. And in this video, I'm not talking about televangelists or their ilk. I'm talking about celebrities, professional musicians, actors and actresses. You know, the morally bankrupt, mentally unstable, and often drug-addicted cockroaches that have infested Hollywood for many decades. These secular entertainers are so powerful that despite dozens of credible reports of the existence of multi-generational child abuse rings and rampant sex trafficking, there has yet to be a single, credible criminal investigation that looks into it. For the last few years, I've watched in disgust as this STD infection of celebrity cancer lectures and attempts to indoctrinate Americans into become America-hating communists under the pretense of morality, while at the same time having no morality themselves. They're the ones that tell you that grooming your child for same-sex sexual assault and trafficking is morally righteous, but a woman willfully bartering sex for a movie role is not. These people traffic in dishonesty as a professional vocation. In fact, they're so committed to it, they give each other awards based on who's the most convincing liar. They're called the Grammys and the Emmys, to name a few. Yet time and time again, mainstream and alt-media outlets give these amoral cancer peddlers a platform to amplify their vitriolic message to the public. In fact, even prominent YouTubers focus the majority of their content on reiterating celebrity hatred of American culture and values. These people are just that. They're people. And often, despite the millions of dollars they've earned in Hollywood for pretending to be something they're not, they don't have any academic knowledge or experience in any of the areas they moralize in. They're not even self-educated, which is why they shout out ignorant and easily provable falsehoods from the top of their ivory towers. And when that doesn't work, they go all keyboard commando and start making threats of violence, and then they call others to act as the instruments of their violence, which happens more often than you'd think. What's even more indefensible is that these professional liars made their money off of the American public in true capitalistic fashion. They're the products of the American dream that if you work hard enough and you make the right decisions, you too can be successful. And these people have gained wealth off of average Americans like you and me that we will never see in our lifetimes. And then, after they've used the capitalistic system and American values to earn their money, they demonize fans and supporters, often law-abiding Americans who subscribe to American values. But what they don't understand is this. Americans can turn off the television and talk to one another. We can read a book published prior to this dystopian, cancerous time period. We can go outside and exercise, breathe fresh air, and associate with other like-minded individuals in our local communities. And by doing so, by walking away from the movie theater, television, phone, and computer, we render the psychological warfare promoted by these America-hating communist celebrities mute. I'm DDJ, and this message of pest control is your dose of misandry today.